Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Final Thoughts for June 2014. This is the series where I go over the games that I completed throughout the month and I give you my final thoughts on them. In the beginning of June, I completed Wolfenstein: The New Order. This is the second Wolfenstein game that I've played. A couple of months ago, I bought Wolfenstein 09 for the Xbox 360 for super cheap, and I played it and I really enjoyed it. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but it was a really good first-person shooter that felt different. The reason for that was because you had powers in the game that you could use to get through obstacles, you know, and make it easier to kill your enemies. And I really enjoyed that like sci-fi feel to it. Wolfenstein: The New Order went with more of a traditional approach. This is more of a traditional first-person shooter. You play as the main character, BJ Blazkowicz, and the cool thing about the story in this game is that it's set in like this alternate history where the Nazis win the war. We all know that didn't happen, but in the game, that's their reality, and history is just all jacked up. And BJ Blazkowicz is basically, you know, trying to make things right and defeat the Nazis. And I like what they did with the story. I really did. What makes this game different as far as the story goes is the fact that they touched on some like emotional things in the game, and I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but there were some emotional events that took place. BJ has a love interest, which is kind of weird, but I really did like the story. As far as gameplay goes, like I said, the New Order is quite traditional. There's an array of weapons that you can use. They're there for your disposal. There's a ton of ammo. Ammo was never scarce in this game, so I didn't have to worry about that. But what I did like about the game, as far as the gameplay goes, is the perk system. You can upgrade things, which is great, you know. And at least for me, I can only speak for myself, I found myself playing the game in different ways in order to unlock perks. And that's just cool. You know, usually I go through first-person shooters, just shooting everything that I possibly can, and that's it. But in the New Order, I was playing different ways just to see what different perks would do when I unlocked them. I also found myself exploring the environments more than what I would in any other first-person shooter. There are hidden things that you can pick up, and that adds to the story, and I found that to be quite interesting. I played through and completed the game on normal, and I didn't have a problem doing that, but there were some areas in the game where the difficulty kind of spiked and made it a little frustrating. But other than that, I thought the game was solid. It's a really good first-person shooter, and it really did surprise me. The other game I completed in June was Murdered Soul Suspect. Little side note about this game, and I know I kind of touched on this in my monthly pickup video, but Airtight Games, the developers of Murdered Soul Suspect, are no longer in business. They've closed their doors and they're no longer developing games. This is sad news to me. I mean, I'm not really familiar with the company and I'm not familiar with the prior games that they put out, but I enjoyed Murdered Soul Suspect, and regardless if I played the game or not, I mean, I think it's sad news whenever game developers, just me speaking as a gamer, whenever game developers out there, you know, go out of business, that's sad news. People have lost their jobs. That's the way the world works, you know, I'm totally aware of that. But my problem with Airtight Games closing up shop is that, you know, people automatically assume that since the developers are no longer in business and they closed up shop, you know, less than a month after Murdered Soul Suspect was released, they think that the game is horrible, and that's not the case. I'm sure this game didn't sell well, but by no means is it a horrible game. You play as the main character Ronan, who's a detective, and the game opens up by you being killed by this sick serial killer who's into rituals and things of that nature. And I love the story in this game. I really did love the story, just because I like this perspective in which the story is being told. After you're killed in the first few minutes of the game, you basically play the rest of the game as a ghost, which is something that you don't really see in a lot of games. I love that perspective. It was really interesting the way that they did it. Murdered Soul Suspect is a murder mystery with some really cool twists and turns that kept me on my toes. I also really enjoyed the gameplay. Now, since this is a murder mystery, you're basically investigating different environments in order to piece together, you know, those clues and come to the final outcome. Now, since you play as a ghost, you can possess items and you can possess people, which was a lot of fun. I found myself just, you know, going around environments and possessing everything that I possibly could. But when you possess people, you're actually doing that, because as a ghost, you're limited as to what you can do throughout the environment. You know, sometimes you'll see these black globs, and if you get too close, you know, whatever monster is down there will reach out and grab you. So if you possess people, they can't really see all that, and you're good to go. Cats are also possessible in this game, and you can make them meow. Just a little side note. I really enjoyed Murdered Soul Suspect, but it's a little unfortunate that others won't give it the chance because of the situation that happened with the developers. So those are the 2 games I completed in June. What games did you guys complete throughout the month of June? Please let me know in the comment box below. I promise you guys, July's Final Thoughts video will be jam-packed with both retail and downloadable games. I've really been running through some games this month, and you'll probably see that video sometime in August. So I want to thank all of you for watching this video, and I'll check you next time.